We will raise Canada's price on carbon pollution, rising by $15 a tonne starting in 2023 and rising to 170 Canadian dollars per tonne by 2030.
Federal Environment Minister Steven Guilbeault says the Trudeau government could be more effective in fighting climate change were it not for the opposition of the federal Conservatives. He told CTV News that he would like to do things like, for example, speeding up Canada's goal of net zero emissions, possibly lowering it to 2040 instead of the current 2050. Now, his argument is absurd on a number of fronts. First of all, Steven Guilbeault and the Trudeau government don't need the permission of the Conservatives to lower our emissions targets to 2040 instead of 2050. He didn't need them to set the 2050 target. Why would he need them for the 2040 target? And in terms of keeping his government in power to fight climate change, doesn't need the support of the federal Conservatives. Needs support of the NDP. And so far, they're supporting him. And if anything, they want the government to go faster in fighting climate change. But the more important issue is that it doesn't matter what Canada's target is. It also doesn't matter how much we pay in carbon taxes or clean fuel regulations or subsidies to corporate green companies. None of that matters. And the reason it doesn't matter is that Canada's emissions are a rounding error in terms of global emissions. Nothing Canada does on its own is going to slow the rate of wildfires or floods or windstorms or severe weather in Canada. Zero effect. Here's why. Here's a few numbers. According to the federal government in 2019, our emissions were 724 million tons of greenhouse gas emissions. The global total is 48,000 million tons. China's total, they're the largest single emitter in the world, about 12,700 million tons. Tony Keller in the Globe and Mail made a good analogy about this. He said to think of the world's greenhouse gas emissions as water in a swimming pool. Well, what's happening is that in Canada, we're trying to lower the level of the water using a soup spoon. And meanwhile, China and other countries are filling up the pool using a fire hose. Now, if Steven Guilbeault and Trudeau really want to be more effective, I suppose, in fighting climate change, they shouldn't be attacking the Conservatives. They should be attacking China's dictators. Now then, we're always accused, even by our own government, that Canadians are wanton wasters of energy because we are the highest per capita emitters in the world. That's an absurd metric to use, particularly for Canada, because we are the second coldest country on Earth, the second largest country on Earth, and we have a relatively small population. Use another metric that has been used, emissions per square kilometer, and lo and behold, Canada becomes one of the lowest emitters in the developed world. And the reason is that what you get always depends on what you measure. The only practical effect of our emission targets and paying more for oil and gas to heat our homes and everything else is that, in theory, it gives Justin Trudeau the moral authority to attempt to use moral persuasion on countries like China to lower their emissions. And of course, we already know from experience how well Canada's moral suasion works on China's dictators. I'm Lorrie Goldstein of Sun Media. We're always interested in hearing your views, and please follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and our YouTube channel.